West Hampton, Massachusetts is a rural town. Tucked into the hills that slope sharply up from the Connecticut River Valley, its houses, many of them more than 150 years old, bear the strong imprint of early New England craftsmen. Some of the names of West Hampton families are as old as the houses or older, dating to the first years of the community. But change the names, change the style of the houses, and West Hampton could be any one of 1,000 small towns in rural America. There is a church, a single general store nearby. One 3-room school serves the town's younger generation. The 423 citizens on its voters list are, by and large, farmers and the families of farmers. Like their counterparts throughout the nation, they are held close to home by the daily care of their stock and the tending of their crops. Thus, though they may have an easier, gentler pace of living than their city cousins, their ties to the land often keep them from entertainments and social activities that city dwellers enjoy. This does not have to be so. A man was selected from this area to see what could be done to provide for rural people's artistic, recreational, and educational needs. Mr. Harold Watts, a man with the degree of Master of Education in Community Organization, was chosen by the Rural Research Institute to work with the community. This building and grounds were set up as the Hampshire County Center in West Hampton.
Several years ago, I came to West Hampton to start what was called a research project in rural activities. My assignment was to find out what the needs of the people in West Hampton were and then do something about those needs. We began with an old empty house and a new wide open idea. Let me show you.
In only a few years, the Hampshire County Center has served thousands of people. But in the fall of 1949, both the house and the idea needed a lot of work. It was hard to know where to begin. 5 small boys were the start of the program, and the center has been busy ever since. From the very beginning, it has been the people of the community who advise what the center's program should be. Many existing rural agencies have found help in realizing their various programs here. First aid is one of the many things that has contributed to the success of the center. Mrs. Watts, who is a registered nurse, has taught home nursing as well as the Red Cross first aid classes. The center has aided 4-H clubs, Boy Scouts, and Girl Scouts in many of their projects. Once the people's needs and desires were known, Mr. and Mrs. Watts helped translate them into action. For example, in cooperation with the West Hampton Mothers Club, the center has made possible a kindergarten, unusual in a community of 400. Most of the equipment, easels, blocks, and blackboards, have been made right here using simple and inexpensive materials. But not only the children's equipment is made this way, for the tables also built at the center do double duty. With easily added leg extensions, the tables are quickly raised to normal height for the parents, so that the room can get its maximum use. Since the first 5 boys appeared at the Hampshire County Center, attendance has passed 11,000, split about equally between young people and adults. With every age group, although pride in their projects is important, it has been found that probably the most important fact of all is working together, getting to know more people, and enjoying each other's company. While the women work upstairs, down below the men begin a class in metal.
Remember to keep it turning. Too much pounding in one spot will weaken the metal and it'll split on you. Just keep it turning slowly and evenly.
Say, Harold, I'd like to get a high glossy finish on mine. How would I do that?
Okay, Jamie, I'll show you. Now what we're going to do is to finally put it on the machine.
From its very start, the center's biggest aim has been to make itself a model on which other community centers can be patterned. For this reason, crafts that demand special and hard-to-get materials or expensive tools and equipment have been avoided. A hardwood baseball bat can make mallets for metal. The value of hobbies learned here is multiplied many times if a person can continue them at home with tools he has or can make. Scrap wood can be jigsawed and fashioned into hundreds of items such as letter openers or napkin rings. An end of copper piping may become a bracelet, a wall bracket, or a candle holder. By keeping methods and materials simple, it has been easy to train leaders in these crafts. These leaders then teach the clubs and groups to which they belong. And individuals take into their homes the same creative pastimes for members of their families to learn. In 3 years, knowledge learned at the center has spread in ever-widening circles far beyond the county boundaries. The Hampshire County Center programs serve as laboratory tests for a series of pamphlets which any community may obtain. Only after the actual accomplishments of, say, a class in woodworking is the experience of teaching it assembled for publication, written for the non-expert volunteer group leader, a guide to serve similar community centers in any town. These pamphlets will continue to be issued as different programs are completed at the center. Other publications cover still other aspects of rural research. To help guide the activities, this community center has called upon various important people in the community to serve on the board of directors. Here are the photographs of still another project under study. It is the removal of snow from sidewalks by electrical heat. A test sidewalk strip was put down by Mr. Watts according to designs by electrical and steel engineers and aided by the local electric company. The cable providing the radiant heat is wire rope, which is readily available in most communities. Concrete was poured directly over the wire rope. This photograph shows how the electrical heat melts the snow. A continuing survey is being made on this project. These booklets, like furniture refinishing, are simple and easy to follow. Let's see how this one works out in practice. Many a barn and attic holds discarded furniture that can be brought back to useful life while providing satisfying creative craft work. As it is taught at the center, refinishing includes repair. Missing pieces are replaced, warped surfaces straightened, and split wood re-glued. The first step, however, is getting the old finish off. For legs of tables and rungs of chairs, scrapers are best. While for most flat surfaces, paint and varnish remover is necessary. It must be spread in only one direction, on small areas at a time. After 15 minutes, the finish can be removed with a broad-bladed putty knife. After 15 minutes, the finish can be removed with a broad-bladed putty knife. Finally, the surface is flushed with remover. Then wiped with burlap or coarse steel wool. The piece should be sanded to a satin smooth finish, using medium sandpaper first and then fine. The oil finish is a favorite. Simple to do, although it takes time. The first coat, a mixture of 1/3 turpentine to 2/3 boiled linseed oil, is applied with soft, lint-free rags and rubbed until the wood has absorbed it all. In a few days, when the coat has thoroughly soaked in, a mixture of 1/2 shellac and 1/2 alcohol is applied. When dry, it is rubbed with fine steel wool. 2 more coats are applied, after which it is waxed. And now, from a discarded, useless item, a fine piece of furniture has been made at little expense and not too great an effort. There are other reclamation projects. The usually tricky technique of stenciling has been simplified at the center. And several West Hampton homes have trays in use which were literally salvaged from the junk heap. In this demonstration tray, the upper right half has been left exactly as it was found, while in the lower left portion, holes have been filled and the tray completely redecorated. The sewing machine clinics at Hampshire County Center have been of real service to women of the community.
All right, ladies, you won't need to worry about having any special mechanical talent. You won't need it. In the last 2 years, we've put several hundred machines back in running condition in our clinics. And none of the ladies was a garage mechanic as far as I know. Now, we'll take it slowly, part by part. First, look on the left-hand side of your machine.
Many machines allowed to get out of adjustment or slightly rusted are abandoned as useless. A day spent like this in simple reconditioning and readjusting brings them back to life and ready for years more service. The varieties of uses and services to which a community center can be put is apparently endless. Hampshire Counties has introduced children to the fun of camping out, at first in the Indian Village on the center's grounds, and later in state parks far from home. The center has scheduled excursions for boys and girls to many places of interest in New England. Besides adults' arts and crafts classes, it has initiated self-perpetuating programs of leader training for both adults and children. On Fridays, for instance, older children are briefed as leaders of the younger fry's Saturday morning clubs. Some of the young leaders are only a few years older than their pupils. The children are grouped in classes with such names as the Flying Fingers and the Busy Bees. Their accomplishments show how much can be done with little or no expense for materials and tools. Candle making is another inexpensive activity.
Here we go round the tabletop, the tabletop, the tabletop. Here we go round the tabletop so early in the morning. This is the way we candle dip, candle dip, candle dip. This is the way we candle dip so early in the morning. Here we go round the tabletop, the tabletop, the tabletop. Here we go round the tabletop so early in the morning. This is the way we candle dip, candle dip, candle dip. This is the way we candle dip so early in the morning.
All this from a simple start, an empty house and a wide open idea. Even the house is not vital, if any space at all can be had. And no community needs search hard for ideas of what to do. The people themselves supply those. Crafts and hobbies, artistic appreciation, or just plain fun.
We have tried to show you how our center developed in West Hampton, serving the countryside for miles around. You could do the same thing in your town. The plan of rural research is to go on developing new programs, distilling our experiences into these booklets, available without charge. To any community that would like to start a center, think of us as a pattern, a testing ground for the best way of bringing interesting, useful, and pleasurable programs to the people of rural America.